Today we're talking about the new Escalator plugin by Black Salt Audio. So this plugin is a saturation plugin, but it has some cool stuff under the hood. So if you guys want to know what this plugin can do, if you want to hear it on different instruments, and you want to know its best use cases, stick around after this introduction. Welcome everybody, I'm Dan Spencer, and I am the Audio Sorcerer. So this is a channel where I teach you how to perfect your audio recording, mixing, and mastering skills. So before we get to the video, make sure you guys smash the like button, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to know when I have new videos coming out. So without further ado, today we're talking about this new plugin by this new plugin company called Black Salt Audio, and the plugin is called Escalator. So this plugin is a saturation/distortion plugin. However, it does some stuff beyond your average saturation plugin. And I'm excited to show you this today because this plugin is not even out yet. It comes out June 1st, and I have a link in the description below to this company's website. And if you sign up for their email list on there, I believe you will actually get special pricing before the product actually comes out. So definitely go do that after you're done watching this video. So what I want to do in this tutorial is allow you to obviously hear this plugin. Now there are not a lot of knobs, as you can see. You're looking at it now on the screen, so there's not a lot for me to tell you about how to use the plugin. But what I want to do is tell you what the plugin does, and I want to let you hear it on 3 different instruments. I'm going to let you hear it on a drum mix, I'm going to let you hear it on bass, and lastly I'm going to let you hear it on vocals, because to me, after using this plugin for a week or so, those are the 3 instruments that I like it best on, okay? So, with that being said, let's actually get into this and let's talk about what this plugin does under the hood. Alright, so I want to go over what's under the hood in this plugin because as mentioned earlier, it's not your average saturation plugin. So basically, it's a combination of saturation and timbre alteration, which gives your signal a fatter and more coherent overall sound. So in the lower value ranges, this goes from 0 to 100 over here, you are going to get a little bit of a saturation sound, and they kind of describe it as a parallel sound. So essentially this can be described as a mix knob, but it's not quite that because as you're working in the lower level of it, this plugin does something a little bit different, okay? So in the lower level, you're gonna get saturation and your transients are gonna be fully intact and it's gonna be adding fullness to your audio, okay? And it also says it's not going to add any harshness by overemphasizing the mid and lower frequencies. Now, the louder you go with it, the more soft clipping and saturation you get. And if you get all the way up to 100% here, it's gonna sound more like distortion. And you're not ever really going to lose your transients. This does a really good job of focusing the sound, and you're going to hear that when we go through this demo, okay? And in their testing, they say it works great on drums, guitars, vocals, and strings. And as mentioned in this tutorial, we're going to use it on drums, bass, and vocals, okay? So why don't we actually get into the listening part of this tutorial, and we're going to start with the drums. Alright, so I got the drums soloed up here, so I'm going to play them for you and I'm going to let you hear what this plugin does, and then I'm going to set this plugin to where I like it at and let you hear what I think a finished product would sound like on the drums using this plugin. Alright, so let's give it a listen. All right, so as you guys can see, I dialed in the sound to my liking towards the end there, and I like it at 33%. And I had to turn down the output a little bit because as you guys can hear, as I turn up the saturation knob, the overall sound gets louder. So you need to make sure you turn down the output to balance your gain staging, all right? So as you heard, when we cranked it, we got a lot of distortion out of it. It almost had that kind of like industrial sound to it. Almost like, I don't want to say Nine Inch Nails, but I'm going to say Nine Inch Nails. So you can imagine the possibilities with this on a drum bus. You know, you can get some interesting sounds with it, okay? But in our situation here, we're not trying to get that sound with it. We're trying to just get the overall fatter sound with it. And what I really like that this is doing is to the kick. If you hear the kick, it's actually bringing out the transient just a little bit. You can hear that it's just a little bit more punchy, just adding this at 33%. And hopefully you heard that when I was doing the, bypass and unbypass there. And if you guys happen to be watching the meter there, we weren't getting any louder. If anything, our meter was actually a little bit softer with this plugin enabled. Of course, the sound was not, but that's gain staging for you there. So yeah, I mean, I think this sounds really good. So what I want you guys to hear now is to hear this in the mix. So let's give it a listen. All right, it's pretty subtle, but you gotta admit the kick is hitting just a little bit more harder than it was before, and it makes that much difference within the mix. So I'm definitely loving that. All right, so let's move on to the bass now. All right, so for bass on this song, I'm using a synth bass that has more of a plucky sound to it. So I really like what this does to that because what I really want to get out of that is more pluck because I want to have those transients shine through and really hit hard. So this particular plugin is doing a really good job of that. And what I like to do on my basses, whether they're this type of bass or real bass, is I like to add some sort of saturation or distortion to them, whether it be on the track itself or on the track along with some parallel distortion and compression. So there's a lot of different ways I like to use saturation when it comes to bass. So let's actually give this a listen in solo first with it bypassed, and then I'll bring it in so you can hear the difference. It's going to be pretty subtle, but what I want you guys to listen to is the transients of each pluck, okay? So let's give it a listen. All right, so that did a really good job of bringing out those hits just a little bit at 31% here, okay? So lastly, let's actually listen to it into the mix with it bypassed, and then we'll bring it in so you can hear the difference. Let's give it a listen. All right, so it's pretty subtle, but when you're actually listening for it, it's not so subtle. And it makes a huge difference, I think, in the mix. And it really brings out that driving force of this plucky bass. And the listener is really going to appreciate that because they have no idea what happens behind the scenes. So, this plugin here is just one piece of the puzzle that's helped creating this amazing driving sounding bass. All right. So with that being said, let's move on to our last instrument, which are the vocals. Alright, so for vocals, I wanted to show you a different way you can go about using this plugin. So we're not using it directly on the vocal track. Okay, so this vocal here, Vox V2, this is the vocal we're going to listen to. So what I'm doing is I'm actually sending it to this aux track here, and I have the escalator here, and I have it at 100%. And what I'm doing is I'm actually sending this at unity at pre-level. So we're sending an exact copy over to the aux track here. So it's getting the full level. Now, what I'm doing is I'm basically mixing in this aux track with it here. So we're getting the 100% full distorted level of the vocal here. So we're really pushing the escalator. And I'm really loving what it's doing to the voice. So I picked a passage within this song here, and I'm just going to repeat it 4 times. So the first half of it, I'm going to leave it bypassed, and I'm going to unbypass it for the second time. And we're going to listen to it 4 times. I really want you to listen closely to what this does to the vocal because it does something really cool. Okay, so let's give it a listen.
I wish we could just lay here and watch the stars come out just for us and no one else around. I wish we could just lay here and watch the stars come out just for us and no one else around. I wish we could just lay here and watch the stars come out just for us and no one else around. I wish we could just lay here and watch the stars come out just for us and no one else around.
All right, so did you guys hear it? If you guys were listening in headphones, you probably heard that it thickened up the vocals just a little bit, very subtly, and it gave it just a little bit more attitude and character with that heavy distortion that's on it, okay? So I'm really loving what it did to the vocals. And again, this is a plugin that you're gonna use very subtly. So what I wanna do now is I'm gonna let you hear what this track sounds like, just this effect, okay? So you can actually hear what this is doing to the voice, all right? So let's give it a listen.
I wish we could just lay here and watch the stars come out just for us and no one else around.
Alright, so that is what a vocal track sounds like when you run this plugin at 100%. So that is my review / tutorial on the Escalator plugin by Black Salt Audio. So as mentioned earlier, I have a link below to their website. Definitely go check them out and sign up for their mailing list because again, you can get some limited time pricing if you sign up early. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe because I'm making this content for you and hit that notification bell to know when I have new videos coming out. So with that being said, until the next video, I will see you guys later and peace out.